Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are y'all this morning? Did you have a good weekend? How are you? How was your weekend? How was your day? Hey Eve. Did you have a good weekend? Rushing around getting math done? This time do it during the week and then you don't have to worry about it on the weekend. During the week. Do it today. Do it today. Hey Priscilla. Hey Kara. How are we? Work. I know. That's all I've been doing too, Eve. Work. Breathing, eating, sleeping. Hey Bo. How's it going? Did you have a good weekend? Get in a little League of Legends. Night shift. Oh man, that's gotta be tough. Who needs sleep, right? Sleep is unimportant. Unimportant and uneventful. All I did was work all weekend, and Kara. Made videos, graded, got ready for Nate for this week. It was great. Perfect weekend. Perfect weekend. Good news is I'm going to have all these videos for the future, so, students will, if they miss or something, will have a video to watch, forcing me to create content for the class. It's great. So, I did get to spend a little time with my kids. I played some Heroes of the Storm instead of that League of Legends. Played a little bit. Homework all weekend too. Yep. School. It's a good thing I enjoy it. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it's kind of fun. I like it. I don't mind working. It's fun. All right, so this week, here's the plan for this week. Today we're going to cover weighted means, and we're going to learn how to figure out your grades. Everybody else does that percentage thing in your courses, and so I'm going to show you how to figure out your grades. And then that question, the questions at the end of the semester that I always get of, what do I need on my final exam to make an A in the class? We don't have that problem as much in our class because ours is just based on points. But I know in your other classes, that's always like a mathematical, what do I need? Well, I'm gonna help you today try to figure out what do you need on those final exams. Hey Zoe, hey Kelsey. Then we're also gonna look at our GPAs. How do we figure a GPA? How does that work? So we're talking weighted means today. Then tomorrow we're gonna learn about expected value, and expected value is really just a weighted mean, but in terms of probability. So tomorrow we're going to talk expected value. And then on Wednesday morning, my plan is right now, assuming that all goes well today and tomorrow, then Wednesday morning I'm going to show you your task for the week. And this task might take a little longer, so then Thursday morning I don't plan to stream. Instead I'm going to give you time to work on your task and maybe get with people in your house or in your virtually to play the game. You're going to make a game and find the expected value from that game. So Thursday I'm just going to give you time to do that instead of streaming. So that is the plan for the week. So really just 2 lectures, weighted mean, expected value, and then you have that task where you're going to get to figure out the expected value of a board game that you're going to make. So fun times. That's the plan for the week. Anything else? I think we can get going. So today, here's your early bird. I have a dot plot up here. Oh, one other thing, I sent you each an email. You should be each gotten a kind of personalized email there that tells you how many points you have right now in the class. And then I just did some subtraction to figure out how many points you need for the various grades that you need. So like if you want to get a D, how many more points do you need? If you want a C, how many more points do you need? A B, an A, or maybe right now you can't make an A, I let you know that. So as the semester goes on, you can say, okay, I need to really be grabbing points. I got to get every one of these. I need to do a bang up job on this task this week or whatever. Or, I can slack off a little bit this weekend or whatever. But don't slack off. None of y'all slack off. Y'all do the best you can so that in case something happens and you end up getting sick or a family member gets sick or something, get it done now. Knock out those points now. Okay, but that's kind of the idea that I sent you. For some of you, you've already made a D in the class. So if I put on there, you've already made a D in the class, then that means that you could quit completely and I would report a D. Now most of you who have already gotten a D in the class, of course you want an A, and you want to just learn the material, so I know you're going to stick around with me, but I had a couple of you that I said that. You've already got the D, or maybe even a C in the class. That's pretty impressive. You've already earned that. So that's what that means though. It's already done, but keep working. Don't quit on me. Okay, so here's your early bird today. We have a dot plot of some hourly wages. I don't know how well you can see that. And we're just going to find the mean of it. So remind me, how do we find the mean? How do we find the mean? What do we have to do to find the mean of something? We get out of the way. How do we find the mean? You remember? Is it the mean? Remember that the mean is going to be somewhere, the average, the mean is somewhere in the middle. So we know that our answer has got to be somewhere between 8 and 16 because all of my values there are, it's somewhere in the center loosely of between 8 and 16. So whatever my answer is, it's going to be between 8 and 16. Good, we just add up all the numbers and then divide by the number of employees. I like that. So I could go 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 because that's what this is, right? $8. I could just add all that up, plus add all this up, plus add all that up. Or there might be a simpler way other than going 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8. Instead, I could just count how many there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 8s. Instead of going 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 12 times, how about we just do $8 times 12? Because there are 12 of them on there. So now I'm just going to multiply that to see if I were to add $8 12 times, what would I get? Well, I'd get 80 plus another 16 gives me 96. So there's 96 in there. Then here's, if it's in between 8 and 9, that's got to be, how much would that be? Halfway in between there would be at $8.50. So we're at $8.50. So that's another $8.50. There's just one of those. Here at my $9, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So $9, instead of adding 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9, let's just multiply times 6 is 54. Move this over just a little bit so that when I add it in a minute. Good, y'all are doing great. And then what about here, it's what, 950? So 950, there are 2 of those, so I'm just going to do 950 times 2, which is what, 18. double 9, you get 18, and then 2 50 cents makes $1, so I'm at 19. And then 2 10s and 1 12 and 1 16. By the way, looking at this dot plot, tell me about the shape of this distribution. What about the shape of this distribution? Think about where most of our data is over here at 8, and then we just have a few data points off here to the right. So tell me about that data. Thanks, and Kara, I'm just going to go with yours. 225.50. I'm going to trust you, and everybody else can tell us if we're right or not. I like it. It's skewed right. So since it is skewed right, that tail is over here to the right. The 16 should be pulling that mean to the right. When we look at our data, we can kind of begin to decide what our mean should be. You know, what would make sense for that mean? Well, we know it would have to be bigger than 8 because that's where our mode is, and it's pulling it to the right. So it's going to be, you know, somewhere in this direction. Maybe right around $9 or somewhere right in that area. So let's see if that's what we've got. So did the rest of y'all get this $225.50? Totally just trusting that. Sounds good. Now, the question is, what am I dividing that by? I've added that all up. And what am I going to divide that by? Well, you told me earlier it was the number of employees. So, good. So I'm just going to count how many employees. And remember, each one of these dots represents an employee. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Or I could do this. I could just add up. This was the number of employees. Add that up. So I got 13, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So there are 25 employees. So I'm just going to take this and divide 225.50 and divide by 25. And again, I'm totally trusting Ankara that it is $9.02. Which makes sense, right? That makes sense that it would be pulling to the right just a little bit. So there's our mean. Y'all check it and see. Does that make sense? Let's see. That goes in there. I think so. Y'all tell me. Yeah, I like it. 25 times 9 does give me 225. So that is realistic. That does make sense as our answer. So what did we just find? We found the average salary. Now, nobody on here made $9.02. That was just on average. So what makes this a weighted mean? Well, notice that our $8 was weighted towards 12 people. It was more heavily weighted. There were more people that had a salary of 8. This is an example of a weighted mean. Now, we could have just added up all our values and divided, which is, you know, the formula that we're giving. Add them all up and divide by the your total number in your sample or in your population. But it was easier just to multiply. And this is exactly the idea for finding our weighted means today, is we're just going to multiply by that weight. All right, let's do some grade examples. How are we feeling? Seems pretty all right? I mean, I feel like we've done this in the past, right? This is not something new. Y'all even had to read a dot plot in the past and find the average. or the mean. Now I'm just doing it with multiplication. So how does that relate to, say, something like our grades? Well, your grades typically in most classrooms are set up as a weighted average because they do things like ask you what's the they tell you that it's worth a certain percent. So in other words, like Trevor's in some English class, and in his English class, the syllabus says the essays are worth 30%. So what that means is if he got 100 on all of his essays, he could earn 30 points, a total of 30 points. Or that grade that he makes on his essays counts 30 times. All right, the midterm is worth 20%. In other words, if he made 100 on the midterm, he would get 20 points towards the class. So, you know, if he made 100 on his essays and 100 on his midterm, he would have 50 points towards his class. Or you could think of the midterm grade counting 20 times. All right, then his poetry journal is worth 10%. So again, that's just 10 points. Whatever that grade is, it's worth 10 points. So it counts 10 times. So so if he made 100, that would be 10 points towards his class. If he made 100, 100, 100, he'd have 50, 60 in the class. So then his final exam is worth 40%. Again, if he made 100 on the final, then it would be worth 40 points. So that's 50, 60 plus 40 is 100. So if he made 100 on everything, he would earn that 100 points in the class. Hey, Adam. So then he comes along and he only gets part of those. So this, on the essay, he makes an 80. So this 30%, remember percent is always out of 100. So it's like that 80 is counting 30 times. So if you were finding the mean, maybe you could just add up 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. You could do that 30 times, 80. 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80. You could add that up 30 times. That's what that 30% means, is that's going to count 30 of them. The midterm, he made a 75 on. So again, that counts like 20 of those. You could add that up 20 different times. And on the poetry journal, he made an 85. And on his final exam, he made a 90. So now we want to find the grade in the class. So to find a weighted mean, all we do is just like we did over here, where we take the number of them times the amount. That's the same thing here. This one, 30% is like this 30 times. So I'm just going to take 30% and multiply it times the 80. And I could just multiply it times 30 and then at the end divide by the 100 points that were the total. So you know I said that this counts 30 times. Well, that would be out of 100 grades. You know, that would be 30 of them, that would be 20 of them, that would be 10 of them, that would be 40 of them, and it would be for a total of 100. Or I could just right now divide by the 30, divide by the 100. I could just say, look, this is times 30 out of that 100. See how I'm dividing by the 100 here instead of waiting until the end to do it? Same thing here, that 20%, I'm not waiting till the end to divide by 100. I'm go ahead and divide by 100 now. That's what that percent does. It just goes ahead, we go ahead and we divide early on. We just multiply by that fraction, that percent. So let's do this multiplication here. Well, we're getting pretty good with percentages now. So maybe we don't even need the fraction. We could just multiply this by, I know 10% of that is just 8. And then if you triple that, you get 24. So if we did this multiplication, we're just doing 8 times 3, and sure enough, that's just 24. Hey, Amani. Then here, 10% of this would be 7.5, right? You just move that decimal over. Double that, and you got 14, 15. 10% of this would be 8.5. Oh, well, that's all I need, 8.5. And 10% of this one would be 9. Do that 4 times, and you've got 36. So we've already done the division. So now we just need to add it up. So basically, when we multiply by that percent, we're taking care of the division part early on. Now let's just add it. You got 9 plus 8 is 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, no. 9 plus 8 is 17 plus 6 is 23. I think I did that right. By the way, with his 80 on his essays, he earned 24 points towards the class. If he hadn't done anything else, he would make a 24 in the class. With his 75 on his midterm, he earned 15 points towards the class. So, he's now at 39 points towards his class. With that 85, he earned 8.5 out of the 10 points possible. So that's how that percent works, is it tells you how many points you could earn. And then, if I don't turn in that poetry journal, then that means I lost 10 points. It means the highest grade I could make in the class is a 90. So those percentages really tell you something in those other classes. They tell you how many points that assignment is worth. Oh yeah, I lost the 5 in there. 0.5. And then I added 17 and 6 is 23. Carrier 2 is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that what y'all got? Oh, I'm sorry. 8.5. 8.5. I know, it's really bad. It was really bad. I agree 100%. Oh, good, but y'all did it anyway. An 83.5. All right, I'll do better on the next one. So each one of those just tells me the number of points. Let's do another one, and I'll do better about lining stuff up. And we'll see if y'all can just do it. I bet you can. By the way, our haikus for the day is each day a new dawn. Each day a new dawn. Yep. A new opportunity. A new opportunity. Yep. To learn something new. To learn something new. Did y'all know that haikus have a pattern of 5, 7, 5? There's your haiku for the day. Every day, whether you're in school or not, is a new opportunity to learn something new. Learn something new every day. All right, let's do better this time. So let's take, Heather here in sculpting. And let's have Heather's tests be worth like 40%. And some class assignments. That's right, Amani. That's exactly right. If you just multiply by the percent, because it's a fraction already you're dealing with, you don't have to divide at the end because you've already done the division. You've already taken care of that. Your in-class assignments are, say, 20%. Or no. Yeah. Your semester project in sculpting, I don't know, that should be, seems like that'd be a lot. How about 30%? And then your final exam is just 10%. Now let's see if that really adds up to be 100. So if they made 100 on all their tests, they'd get 40 points. 100 on all the in-class assignments is 20 points. 100 on the project is 30 points. And the final exam is 10 points. So now we're going to add up. So let's say Heather on her test makes 78. And on her in-class assignments makes like a 92. And on her project makes a 93. And on the final exam makes an 80. And we want to know what is her grade in the class. Bye-bye, haiku. What's her grade in the class? Okay, well, if she had made 100 on the test, she would have 40 points. But she didn't get all of those points. She only got part of them. So we're just taking this and multiplying by that. That's all we're doing. So, 10% of that would be 7.8. So 7.8 times 4, I'm just doing it times this 4, so I get 32, carry a 3, 28, 29, 30, 31. So it would have been 7.8 for 10, just do that times 4. Hey, Courtney. So we're again, all we're doing is multiplying this percent. But when we're doing that percent, we're saying there are 40 of these. So I could add 78 40 times. Man, I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm just going to multiply it times that 40%. Thanks, Mr. Simpson. That's right. Remember, with percentages, to make it into a decimal, you just move it over 2 places because it's out of 100. So I could write this. This is equal to, 40% is equal to 40 out of 100, which is just equal to 0.4 or 4/10. Those go away, and it just leaves me with 4/10. All right, 18.4. Good. So, if they didn't do anything on these tests, we would just add these two together. They'd have a 49.6 in the class. It's not enough to pass. Got to do a little bit more. So here on the project, well, 10% of that would be 9.3. Triple that, and you get 27.9. 80, an 80, well, 10% of that is just 8. Once I have that just 8 there, if I want to line up my decimals to add, well, remember that behind all our numbers, I could add as many zeros as I want out there. So I can just put 0.0 to help me line them up better. So now 6 and 9 is 15, carry 1, 9, 10, 17, 17, 25, carry your 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. Yay! So she made an 85.5 in the class. Let's see if that makes sense when we do this. Well, she had these low A's and a low B and a low C, so it makes sense that it would average out to be about an 85.5. Okay, I'm going to come back here to Trevor and his English. And Trevor wanted to know on the final, let's go back to Trevor, and let's say that Trevor did not know what he hadn't taken the final yet. Let me back this up. Let me rewrite this so it's a little neater. So we got the essays were 30%. The midterm was 20%. Your poetry journal is 10%. final exam is 40%. And he made an 80, a 75, and an 85. Okay, we'll do better this time. So we know thus far, because we're just multiplying those together, that he had 24 points, he had 15 points, and he had 8.5 points. All right, but here's the magic question that's always asked of me at the end of the semester. People, I agree, English class stinks. Although Mr. Simpson might disagree with me because, you know, his first master's was in English. So he seems to like English. Okay, so, and thank goodness it was too, by the way, because he's my writer. So here, I want to know, this is a question that everybody comes to me and asks at the end of the semester. Ms. Simpson, in my English class, these are the grades I have so far. What do I need to make on my final exam in order to make, in order to pass the class? I'm just desperate to pass that class and be done with it. So, I want to make a C. D's not good enough. I want to make a C in the class. So what do I need to make that C? So this is the question that's posed to me by everyone at the end of the semester. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Well, in order to make a C in the class, we want these guys to add up at the end to be 70. That's the grade that we want. By the way, just to help with the decimal thing, remember that we can put a decimal and 0 below that. So when we add it up, it becomes 70 like that. Okay, so we want this to add up to be 70, but I don't know what this grade is. He's missing right now. I want to find out what he is. Since he's that one that I want to find out, I'm going to call him. You could call him, you could just put a box there if you wanted to, but let's call it X. And then we just take that percent, just like we did before, we took the percent and multiplied it times the grade. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this percent and multiply it times the grade to get whatever this amount is over there. So I've got 40% times my X. Or like you said, it was 0.4 times my X. And I need these things to add up to be 70. Now I have to do some solving in order to find that out. So I need it to add up and equal 70. So I'm going to write it that way. I'm going to add those points up. I earned 24 points in essays. I earned 15 points in midterm. I earned 8.5 points with my journal. I don't know this one, and I want it to total 70. So if I add these three together, well, the 0.5, then this is 9 plus 8 gives me 17. Carry your 1. That's 3 plus that 1 makes 47. So if I add these three numbers, these three right here, give me 47.5. So right now in the class, I have a 47.5. So if I didn't take the final at all, if I made a 0 on the final, I would have a 47.5. Now, I need to know, but what do I want? I need to know what do I need to make for that grade. Well, now I'm going to solve this equation. So I'm trying to get x by itself. And we've done a little bit of solving in here. In order to get x by itself, I need to get rid of this. This needs to go away. I need to balance out my equation. So I'm going to subtract that from both sides. So if you subtract it here, subtract 47.5, subtract 47.5 from both sides. So I want 70 points. I'm taking away the points that I already have. I did give it away. So I'm taking away all the points that I already have, so that I have 0.4x equals, however much that is. Well, to get up to 50, I need 2.5 more points to get up to 50, and then 60, 70. So I think it's 22.5, but you do your subtraction and see if I'm right. Oh, yay! So remember, when we're subtracting, I don't have any pennies over here, or dimes over here, so I've got to go to my dollar bills, but there aren't any there. So I come here and I say this becomes a 6, and I make it into into ones. So I steal a 10 and turn it into 10 ones. Then I can take one of those ones and turn them into dimes. And then I just subtract. So I've got 10 minus 5 is 5, 9 minus 7 is 2, and 6 minus 4 is 2. Oh, maybe, Zoe. So how do I get there? Now, this was multiplying 0.4x times that 22.5. How do I get to get this x by itself? Or what would I do to find out that final grade? Oh, a bunch of y'all are doing the same thing. So we divide now. You know, this is multiplication. I'm going to divide by that 0.4. Divide by the 0.4. Man, my board usage today is not great. So that becomes 1, and I'm left with the x. Now I'm dividing. Remember, in the past, we've multiplied the top and the bottom by 10 to get rid of that decimal. So now I'm just doing some division. 4 goes into 25 times with 2 left over. 4 goes into 25 6 times. Wait, I think it's the same thing y'all did. Oh yeah, I did, okay. With 1 left over. 4 goes into 10 2 times with 2 left over. 4 goes into 25 times. So when I do that division, I end up with 56.25. 56.25. So so Trevor needs to make a 56.25 on his final if he wants to make a C in the class. Now, what would change if I wanted to make a D in the class? Yeah, thank you, Bo. I need one pass. One day, one rotten day. Obviously did not have enough coffee, and I stayed up way too late grading. What would change if I wanted to make a B in the class? If I wanted to make a B, how would this change? There's only one little change that I make. What is it? Oh yeah, we would just turn this into an 80 instead of a 70. And when we subtracted, we would be looking at an 80 instead of a 70. So that's the only difference with it. So whatever grade, if I want to make a 90 in the class, then I would just turn this into a 90 instead of a 70. So it just depends on what I want for my grade there. So let's look at Heather and her sculpting class. Again, let's pretend that she hasn't taken her final exam yet. She's done everything else, but she hasn't taken her final exam. And she wants to know, she's like, I need an A. I want an A in this class. Little sculpting class needs to raise my GPA, not lower it. So what am I going to do? What do I need in order to make an A in this class? So if she wants it to be an A, well, that means she needs, in most classes anyway, it's a 90. So now we're going to find out what does she need on this final exam to make that A. Again, I don't know what that is. Since it's not known, I'm going to put just an X there. And the way we're getting this value is we're multiplying our 10 times our X, or 10% times our X. So 0.1 times our X. I bet you can do this now that we've done it once. our next step is to add these three values and find out what they are. Add those together to find out what they add to. Because what we're doing is we're saying this, the points I got for my tests, plus the points she got for the in-class assignments, plus the points she got for the project, plus whatever points she gets on the final, she wants it to add up to be 90. So what do these three add up to be? Well, 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 9 is 15, carrier 1, 9, 10, 17, carrier 1, 4, 5, 6, plus that 1, I think she has a 77.5 right now. Does that sound good? Oh yeah, good. All right, so she did not take the final and she's already passed the class, but she's like, that's not good enough, I want an A. So what do I need to do to make an A in this class? So she has this many points, she wants that many points. We're going to find out how many more points does she need. So we're going to subtract this 77.5 to find out how many more points does she need. So, boink. Oops, there's this nasty subtraction again. Okay, well that's 2.5 brings me up to 80, and another 10 brings me up to 90, so I think it's 12.5. Or you can do the subtraction again where you say, well, 10s turn into 1s, but then I just have 8 10s. 1s turn into dimes, and do your subtraction that way. Don't lose your 0.1 times x. That became 0, so we're done with him. And then the last step, excellent guys. Now what's the last step? Good, divide. Perfect. So we just divide by 0.1. And remember, when we're doing this division, when I have this fraction, if I multiply the top and the bottom of my fraction by 10, it'll move that decimal over one spot. So really I'm just doing 125 over 1, which is just equal to 125. So she would have to make 125 on the exam in order to make an A in the class. Well, if the exam is only worth 100 points, she can't make an A in the class. We probably could have told that back up here, because look right here at this 77.5. We knew she, had 77.5 points. Well, we knew the final exam was only worth 10 points. If you add that 10 points up to 77.5, the highest grade she could make, if she made 100 on her exam, the highest grade she can make in the class is an 87.5. So we could have been able to look at that right then and gone, you blew your A back there with the low tests. So, oh well, let's see about a B. So if we wanted to find out for a B, we would just do the same thing, but turn that into an 80, and we could find out what it is that she wants in order to make a B. So that's okay. 1 grade won't hurt you. She probably learned some great sculpting. It's okay not to make the grade that you wanted in every class. It's okay. Just keep chugging. Just keep chugging. You can do it. Okay, so there are, sometimes things like coronavirus get in the way. It's okay. Life gets in the way sometimes. All right, so that's how we figure out our grades. And at the end of the semester, if you want to find out what you need to make on the final exam, that's exactly how you go about doing it. And just remember that this percent just means that it's out of 100. If we weighted each one of them, this one would be 30. That grade would count 30 times. And in the end, I'd have 100 of those. All right, don't chug, push that rock. So the other day I put up a GIF of pushing that rock, and that rock kept falling back down, and I had to push it back up again. Push it back up again. All right, let's talk GPA. GPA is another weighted mean. That's all it is a weighted mean. So, you know, you've heard somebody maybe say, it's true, that is life. It's a little depressing though. I'd like to make it up there and it stayed for a minute or two before it rolls back down. Learn to enjoy the struggle. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to do talk about GPA. So if somebody says they have a 4.0, I have a 4.0, what does that mean? Maybe you've heard that before, but what does it mean to have a 4.0? If you have a 4.0, if your GPA is a 4.0, what does that mean? What does that mean? Bo, yeah, embrace the suck. That's right. That's what he's telling you to do. They're freaking smart. I don't know about that. Maybe they're just hard workers. I never thought I was smart just because I made an A or two. They cheated. It could be that they dropped any class they weren't doing well in. That could be exactly what it means. Strategic. It means you have all A's. That's exactly what it means. A 4.0 means you made all A's. You didn't make anything except A's. So that's what a 4.0 is you made only A's all the way through. So what is a 3.0? If I have exactly a 3.0, then that means that's how much a B is worth, or that's B's. If I make a B, it's 3.0. What about if I make a C then? If I made only C's, all C's all the way through, yeah, I'd have a 2.0. And you're right. If I'm mixing some things, then, you know, if I have some A's and some B's, well, then my GPA is going to be somewhere in the threes, 3 point something. It means I've got A's and B's in there. And then if I have a 2 point something, that means I threw in some C's in there. And in order to get any D is worth 1 point. And then we don't have E's, but then F's are 0 points. You don't earn any points for those F's. So yeah, there's A's are 4 points, B's are 3 points, C's 2, D's 1, and F's are 0 points. So when you take a class and you make an A in the class, you get 4 points towards that class for every hour of the class. So like our particular stats class is worth 6 hours. So if you make an A in this class, you're earning a lot of points towards your GPA. If you make an A in this class, it could really help you because it's worth 6 hours. Of course, if you make an F in the class, it could really hurt your GPA because then for 6 hours, you're not doing well. So each one of the hours then is worth that. Now let's just look at it. If this class is worth 6 hours, and you make an A in it, so I just told you they're worth 4 points for every hour. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. How do I get back to that 4 hours? I mean the 4.0? Well, then you divide by the number of hours that you're taking to show that you made an A in there. So we're gonna do the same thing that we did before, where we're multiplying the number of points it's worth, but this time we're multiplying it by the number of hours. It's weighted by the number of hours. And then at the end, we're going to divide by however many hours you took. So let's just play with it for a minute. Let's say you're taking this stats. So you've got statistics is a 6-hour class. and you make an A. And then you're taking that dreaded English, so Brit Lit, which is a 3-hour class, and you make a B. And then maybe you're taking something like, along with those 2 classes, you're taking, I don't know, maybe somebody advised you poorly and you're taking A and P at the same time. So that's a 4-hour class. And because Miss Simpson made you focus on her and not the A and P, you made a C in that class. Hey, that's pretty good. I'm kind of impressed. All right, so let's find out our GPA at the end of the semester then. If that's what our grades look like and the number of hours we're taking, then we can find out our GPA. Maybe we take one other 1-hour class. No, I don't know that it helps. This is really bad. The numbers are not going to be great at the end because I made it up on the fly. It's okay though. Okay, it'll be all right. I'll let y'all pull out a calculator since y'all know y'all are doing that anyway. By the way, if you are using that silly tool at home, make sure that when you're showing your work, you're pretending at least that you're not. In other words, show me each step that you're doing. Some of you guys, it was really, really obvious what you're doing. So anyway, need more hours. That's 13 hours. That's full time. 12 hours is full time. Okay, so here we're just going to take the number of hours times the points. So that A is worth how many points? That's what, 4 points? So every time I see an A, I'm thinking 4 points. And then the B is 3 points, and the C is 2 points. Perfect. Now, I'm just going to multiply the number of hours times the points that I would have earned. So 6 hours times those 4 points is 24 points that I've earned. And then 3 hours times 3 points gives me 9 points that I've earned. And 4 hours times 2 points is 8 points that I've earned. Yeah, I think they say 12 hours nowadays is full time. So, 12 hours is good. Back in the day it was 15 hours, but that was when more people that went to college just went to college. Now people are like working and all kinds of stuff. I don't know how it's going to work with the 8-week classes. It's like 4 classes or something semester. So here we go. Now all I do is add it up just like before. I'm going to add up my number of points that I've earned. So here I'm adding up, this is 13 and 8 is 21. Carry 2, 2 and 2 makes 4, I think. I think that's right. Thanks. Oops. Oh, I agree with Eve, so maybe that's it, 41. Okay, so what do we divide by? Well, we divide by the number of hours that we've taken. So it's this many points per hour. So you can think of it, 41 points per the hour. Well, I've got to divide by the hour for the hours. It's points for the hours. So I got to take that 41 then and divide it by the total number of hours. So I'm going to add up however many hours I took. So 7 plus 6 is 13 hours. So we put our points over our hours to find out how much per hour it is. So 41 divided by 13, and that's what I meant by it's not going to turn out pretty, because 13 is not the most beautiful number to divide by. Well, I know 13 goes in there 3 times, because 3 times 13 is 39, and then 40, 41, so with 2 left over. And then 13 is going to go into 21 time with 7 left over. And now 13 is going to go in there. 13 is going to go in there. Well, 39 doubled, that's too many. So 5 times 50 and 15 is 65. So 5 times-ish with 5 left over. So maybe we've gone out far enough. So 3.153 thanks. So this is approximately 3.153, and we usually do GPAs out 2 decimal places. So this is a 3.15, or about 3.2, you know, somewhere right in there. 3.15 is my GPA there for the semester. Now that's a low B. You know, if I think about it in terms of what is that, the grade, well, it's a low B, and it makes sense with this because I made a B, which was 3 hours, and a C, which pulled that down, which would have pulled it down into the 2s, but this 6-hour A pulled it back up into the B range. And there's a statistic that tells how we did for that semester. In that class, we made a B. One number that represents that entire class's worth of work. There's a statistic, that mean statistic. Let's try one more of those. Yeah, the A and the C would average to be a B, except this A is worth more. Since it's weighted more, it pulls us up a little bit. It gets to pull us up. We can't just add it to a pre-existing one because it depends on the weight of the number of points. So really, you have to have your whole transcript to find out, or at least you have to take at least the GPA you have now times the number of hours you have. So let's say I have a I've taken 50 hours, and I have a 3.15. This is my GPA right now. Well, to find out how many points I've earned for that, I have to take the number of hours I've taken and multiply it times my GPA to find out that total number of points. And then maybe this semester I take 12 hours and I make a 4.0 for my GPA. Again, I take the number of hours it's worth times that the GPA for this semester. So if this was in the past, that's my GPA, and I've taken 50 hours. And now I'm finishing up with an A, all A's, my last 12 hours. And I want to know my GPA. What you can do is you take your GPA times the number of hours you've done, and add that to the GPA you make this semester times the number of hours you have. Add that together and divide by the total number of hours. So it's dependent upon that weight. So it all depends on how much it's weighted. So like if we were to do this one in the past, well, 5 times 5 is 25, carrier 2, 5, 6, 7, 15, with a 0 on the end, so 2 decimals over. I've earned 157.50 points towards my degree. And then here, well, that's 48. Y'all check my math, make sure I'm doing that right. Add that all together. 9, 10, carry 1, 205, 50. And then you have to divide that by the 62 hours. 62 hours that you took. So you take your total points. You take the total points and divide by the 62 hours. I'll let y'all figure that out. What does that end up being? 3.31. I'll go with it. So you see this last one, making all A's that last semester helped to bring my GPA a little bit up. So that's how you find it. The GPA you have now is weighted by the number of hours you've taken. And then, however many hours you take each semester, it weights it for that. So there's our new GPA. That's a good question, Eve. That's a good question. So that you can figure out what is your, at the end of this semester, what's my GPA supposed to be? I have this. How much does it... Then if you wanted to know, I want to be able to make a 4.0 or whatever, and I'm taking this many hours, well, maybe not a 4.0, but a 3.5, and I have this GPA, what would I need to make in order to make a 3.5? You can begin to figure that out the same way that we did the final exam. So, if I know I have 50 hours so far, and I have a 3.2 grade point average, and I have 15 hours remaining, and I want to make, in the end, I want to make a 4.0. I'm like, what do I have to, not a 4.0. I can't do that. That's not possible. I blew it up there. Maybe I want to make a 3.5. That's my goal to be able to get into nursing school or whatever. So can I even do that is the question with those 15 hours remaining. Well, what you have to do is multiply just like we did before and divide. So you can set up an equation to find that out. You do 50 times that to get 150.1, maybe. And then, or maybe it's just 151. It'll help me out. Do the math for me. And then here I'm doing 15x. I need those to add up when I divide it by this 65. When I add those together and divide it by the 65, I want it to equal 3.5. That one's a little more challenging. I did leave the spinner on my clock. My clock is now officially broken. It was already broken, but now it's like officially broken. I spun it once too many times, so now it's like dead. So there's my spinner forever, eternally a spinner. Yeah, we did 50 times 3.2 should be an even number. Oh, so it should be 3. So it should be 150.1.0. What the heck is it? Why am I having trouble with that? 32/50 is maybe 16. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's supposed to be 160. There you go. I like 160. I'm just making sure y'all are with me on this Monday morning. How would I do this? This is a challenging one. How would I get rid of that 65? Yeah, 160, because all you have to do is split that in half. So 16, if I had been thinking, you know, I know that 50% is 1/2. So if I just take 50 and split that in half, then I could get my 160. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Oh yeah, good, Bo. I'm going to multiply both sides by that 65 to get rid of the 65. It makes it 1. So I've got 160 plus 15x equals whatever the heck that equals. 25 carry 2, 30, and 15 is 45, 36, 47, carry 4, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I claim that's what it is, but y'all tell me if I'm right or not. Then I'm going to subtract 160. Trying to get that x by itself. You know, this is how many points I had in the past. Now, how many more points do I need? Let's see. I have enough dollars. I don't have enough tens, but 22 minus 16 is 456, 67.5. So I need 67.5 points this semester. And the question is, can I get that with just 15 hours? So last but not least, I'm going to divide by 15. Practice, Bo, practice. If you do it enough times like me, then eventually you don't need that stupid calculator. Well, obviously, sometimes it might be good to check it, but when your brain's not fully functioning, it's a nice tool. But the more you practice without it, the better you get at it. So now I'm just dividing this by 15, and the question is, does that go in more than 4 times? I think it's going to go in more than 4 times. So we end up with 4.5. So they can't make a 3.5 in their last 15 hours. If they want to raise their GPA, they're going to have to go back and retake some of those classes they didn't do so well in, or maybe take a few more hours, something to help raise it up. So, but if you retake a class, it helps to replace. So, you know, maybe you had to drop a class, make an F, maybe you made an F in one class. You can always go back and retake it, and that replaces it. So let's do one more where we just find our GPA. Oh, we're already done. Maybe y'all got it. We'll do one more with the GPA real fast. So on my transcript, maybe it says I have an A for 12 hours, a B for 22 hours, a C, I'm going to retire this black marker after today, a C for 14 hours, and no D's, but an F for 2 hours. So if I look at my full transcript and I add up how many A's I made, I had 12 hours worth of A's. And B's, well, I had 22 hours with B's. And C's had 14 hours with the C's. And F's had 2 hours worth of F. And I want to know what's my GPA. Well, all I do is take the weight of each one of them and multiply it times the number of those hours I have. So 4 times 12 is 48. 3 times 22 is 66. 2 times 14 is 28. And 0 times 2 is 0. You add up your points. So 14 and 8 is 14 and 8. Oh, good, we match. 14 and 8. 14 and 8 is 22. Carrier 2, 6 and 6 is 12, 13, 14. Is that right, 142? Divide by the total number of hours. So you have to add up the total number of hours you've taken. So that's 4 and 4 is 8, 9, 10. Carrier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 hours. So you take your points and divide by the hours. Split that in half and you should have a, wait, that didn't make sense this time. How many times does it go in there? It goes in there twice. I'm not multiplying, I'm dividing. So twice with 42, so 420 is 8. And then into 200 is a 4. I have 2.84. So a GPA is 2.84. You know, in that high C range. So, you know, I made a bunch of B's, and then I had more on this end than I did on that end. So it pulled the 3.0 down a little bit. So just a little bit below that 3.0. Pretty good. All right, so your job tonight is to go do that weighted mean homework, get it done tonight, upload it tonight, so if you made a mistake on it, I'll catch it tomorrow and give it back to you so then you can turn it back in. Some of y'all took advantage of that last week. Good job. The rest of you, get it done today, get it done, get it turned in. Don't wait till 11:59 to turn it in. Do it right now. And then that way it'll be done. Okay? Got it? Get it? Got it? Good. All right, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll do expected value. So we'll do the same thing, weighted mean, only we'll talk about it in terms of probability. So, see you tomorrow. Go have some coffee. I'm going to have some coffee. And I'll see you on Discord. I'll be there. All right, Math Made Simple. It's Simpson Math. Thanks for watching. See y'all tomorrow.